Hard to describe, but we could basically retcon what happened in the past day. Say that you guys were here for an additional day when you were contacted.
Okay.
So what are you guys doing before this meeting, effectively?
Kazi wants to go find whatever the professor you told Kazi to look for. Can't remember his name. Well, Professor Tanner, about the magical
Yes.
plant.
Professor Tanner. Let me pull him up real quick. All the notes that I have are actually about the person that's meeting you, so I have to switch out some notes real quick. Let's see here. Emberfell College. Yes, Lofric Tanner, the professor of abjuration.
All right. Kazi's gonna go looking for him. Do I need to roll anything, or just say he looks for him?
No. Instead, you are directed to find this Lofric on the plateau. Not the plateau, the platform. A huge football field-sized disc that is sticking out from the tower. You can see there are dozens of people out here. There are gardens being grown. There's a space for casting different combat spells. You can see 2 mages that are currently dueling, and one section has been almost completely overgrown by a number of exotic trees, bushes, and plants.
Okay. So Kazi is gonna go walk up. Professor Tanner, good question for you.
Oh, hang on. He puts his hand up without even looking at you. He's currently staring at a very small plant that has these strange, like, white berries. And he's poised to cut off a berry. And there. And he cuts it off, and there's a little sparkle of some type of magic, and he places it quickly into a vial. Now, what was this about?
I had a question about pots of awakening. How do I?
Awakenings.
Yes, I acquired a pot of awakening, and I was curious if I could get the awakened shrub to use magic.
Let's see it then.
As he pulls out the awakening.
And what was your name again? Are you one of my students?
Kazi. I do not believe I am. Wait, is Kazi one of his students?
Did you take Botany 101, Botany 201?
Probably not.
Any of the botany classes? Then probably not.
No. Was not. I acquired this and became curious.
An awakened plant. See, most wizards actually make a mistake. The item that you're referring to, a pot of awakening, is the magical part of this item is actually the dirt itself. When you take the dirt out upon activating the item and spread it along a larger area, you actually get a larger plant. It gives enough space for the roots to grow big and the branches to begin to form. Then you get a larger bush than usual. It's not particularly useful, but definitely important to know if you want a larger and more stable creature.
So, canonically, would that have more health then? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Very interesting. Would I be able to imbue this seed or dirt with magic so that it would be able to use magical items and perhaps even cast its own spells?
An interesting question. As a matter of fact, I have some research on the subject. If you would, of course, be already aware of this research if you had taken one of my classes. Let's see.
I heard about it from a friend.
He starts to reach through what is clearly a bag of holding, and after a moment he pulls out a large tome and flips it open. Notes. Here we go. Interactions between different plants and numerous magical items. What you're going to want to do is... The weave does not normally take interest in most plants. You need to be awakened, obviously, in order to be able to manipulate the weave, but there's more prerequisites than that, including your very own life force being a prerequisite. Now, if you were to supplement that make something that acts as a life force or a magical core, then that would allow the creature to be able to cast wizard spells. There is a maximum to this, but it is possible. Aren't you going to ask how?
Oh, sorry, I thought you weren't. I thought you were done. I didn't think you were done yet.
No, I'm not.
So how? No, you, Andrew. I thought you weren't done.
Oh, okay.
So, how does that work? What would I need to get acquired to make that work?
The simplest you could have, you could form something yourself, but that would take some work and knowledge of gemstones. What you're looking for as a fast supplement would be a Pearl of Power.
Just a pearl of power.
While the plant is forming, place the Pearl of Power and raise the branches so that they form around the Pearl of Power, swallowing it, so to speak. When the creature is fully grown and pops out of the dirt, then you have it. A spell-casting plant.
What would happen if I did multiple pearls?
Multiple?
Yeah.
Multiple Pearls of Power.
Instead of one.
I'm afraid I don't have any research on that. How about you make a hypothesis, and we can reconvene with some, and we can... I think this is an interesting experiment. I'm willing to supply some of the resources if you're willing to do this in one of my labs.
I would very much like to, as he says.
Excellent. I believe one of the testing chambers is open, at least one of the ones near my classes. Why don't we take a look there? This is more of a community garden.
Kazi begins to follow him.
You guys make it a couple floors down. This is actually above the massive crack in the tower. The massive bite chomped out of it halfway through. And there's a huge windows overlooking. Inside this room, it's even more garden. This is more like a rainforest with plants growing up the walls and even some trees that are growing towards the large windows letting in sunlight. You find a patch of mostly uninterrupted dirt. There are some weeds still currently growing out of it.
Yep.
All right. What do you have?
A pot of awakening, I says, and sets it down. I also have a pearl of power, but I'm attuned. Not sure how that would affect it.
You could take a short rest to unattune to it.
No, Kazi tells him, what if I kept attunement to the pearl of power? Would that stop it from working?
I've not tested this. Care to make a hypothesis about it?
Would. Perhaps it would be bound to me? Like, more apt to follow my directives.
The Pot of Awakening is already bound to you. So my own guess would say that perhaps you would be able to... This is just a wild guess, but there have been ways that a Pearl of Power have been used to share spells. In this case, giving a Pearl of Power that you're currently attuned to might just allow you to give your daily spells to the plant. It's a wild guess, of course. But I actually have this as well, and he pulls out his own Pearl of Power. Multiple Pearls of Power. What do you think this will do?
It will... To start off, your research says that the Pearl of Power will give it the capability to cast spells. What level spells would it be able to cast?
It's limited by the magical object, so that would be spells of 3rd tier and lower. Though at first, it will likely only be able to cast cantrips. It needs to be able to cast... Giving something the capability to cast magic does not grant it the capability to cast magic. For example, most even the weakest of malnourished humans are often able to cast cantrips, though many don't, because it requires, even cantrips requires many hours of study to master. So,
So
this
one,
is
if
something
it's
you would
a-
have to teach, and even then, it appears that with 2 Pearls of Power, the cap might be at a single 4th tier spell, at most.
Interesting.
This is all theory, of course.
What if we added in, say, a wand? I only have a first level spell, a wand for a first level spell, but would that give it the capability to use the wand, or would it just not matter?
The Pearl of Power would allow it to attune to a magical wand and use magical items.
I'm assuming spell scrolls is on that list as well.
Spell scrolls would be complicated. But I can only assume that it would be a solid maybe.
Okay.
Ultimately, it would be up to you to train this creature in the art of wizardry.
Interesting. Alright, let us get started.
Alright. First, you're going
Kazi
to
pauses.
activate the magical item.
One quick question. The plant that will become an awakened shrub, what type of plant is it? Is it set?
He takes a look at the pot and puts it in his hand. It looks it up and down. This is a common pot of awakening. My assumption, based on the design and the creator's marks here, is that this. What's a plant? What is a plant? What are plants?
Feels
A Japanese maple. The red ones that are quite small. Or is that not a shrub? That's like a small fruit.
I don't know plants.
Kazi's only question would be, could he replace the seed with a seed of a different type of plant, say more powerful? Like a minorly magical plant?
That is something that has been tested before. The conclusion is that the seed only affects the look and appearance of the plant itself. It does not determine the strength or vitality of the plant.
Okay. Good to know.
But no matter what shrub you plant here, this will turn into an eastern hemlock plant. It's quite strange how these work, but the magical item uses the plant itself as a sort of basis for what it's going to make. A seed of life for what it's creating, not necessarily what type of plant it's going to make.
Okay. Good to know. Alright, let's just get started.
Now, go ahead and plant a seed. I actually have a couple of wheat seeds for occasions like this. And he hands you a small packet.
How many do I plant? Just one?
Yes.
Kazi takes one wheat seed and sticks it in the dirt.
Alright, now, once the pot has begun to awaken, the pot begins to shimmer a little bit. Place it in the dirt here, and then, with some blunt instrument, preferably a hammer, shatter the pot itself.
Kazi takes his quarterstaff from across his back and smacks and shatters the pot.
Yeah, it shatters, and the dirt of the pot, which is more of a richer brown, mixes with the dirt of the little plot that you guys have, which is about 5 by 5 feet. Excellent.
Do I spread out the dirt or just leave it?
Nope, we just leave it how it is. And don't take any pieces of the pot either. That has a chance of ruining the spell if the pot magic was within that shard.
Good to know.
And now we wait.
No need to water it, no need to add anything to make it stronger, just leave it?
The Professor Tanner shakes his head. Nope.
As in, just leave it? Okay.
There are ways of speeding up the process, but they're a little expensive.
How expensive?
We're talking about uncommon item levels of expensive. I have some materials that would be able to half the time that it takes for this thing to grow, but that stuff doesn't grow on trees, so to speak. It's costly. And a lot of gold. Now then, approximately halfway through the process, you will want to return I have my Pearl of Power here that I will save for that occasion, and you have yours. We will leave the Pearls of Power, wrap the branches around, reattach. We will, using string, special types of string, we will tie the Pearls of Power so that the plant grows around it and consumes the items. And then, when it finishes growing, we shall have our result.
Perfect.
Any questions?
Not as of this moment, no.
Excellent. I am very excited, but also probably late for something. And he looks down at his wrist, but there's nothing there. There's not even a watch. Could have sworn I had something. I suppose I can wait a few more minutes. And he just stares at the dirt. Nothing's obvious. There's nothing clearly growing or anything like that, but he's just staring at the dirt.
Kazi turns to him and says, "You said that you have a way of having the time?
That's right.
So 400 gold, you said?
Yes, that would be the cost for this amount. Ordinary fertilizer, obviously significantly cheaper, even for magical plants. But what we're trying to do is half the time that it takes for an awakened bush to appear."
Very well then. I will be back in 15 days to check it out."
He nods, but then doesn't even. He's just staring at the dirt.
Kazi wanders off to a workroom. Work on spells. Well, to work on his magical items.
All right. As you are doing that, what is Adrien and Ruben doing?
What are we doing?
Arcana training in there somewhere, I assume, but also Adrien is going to look around town, see if there's anywhere he can cast spells for money. And he's going to attempt to find somewhere where he can basically hide for the next 2 months and do some item crafting.
All right. I guess you are going to be interrupted by the meeting that you have at the end of the last episode, or the last session. So, is there anything in particular that you're doing today?
In particular, he's probably going to want to figure out where he's staying long term.
All right. I guess make a check, if you will.
Or would his uncle know somewhere he could stay and work on crafting?
Yeah, your uncle would know. So there
I
are
assume he just-
buildings. There are the lower levels. There's a number of businesses. There's also an inn, but the inn itself is outside of the college grounds on the island. One of the couple of buildings that surround the tower.
Would it be reasonable if I worked out of an inn, or would it be better if I had a lab space?
You could be right. If you're looking for a lab space, that is something that you could rent out. But unfortunately, without being a member of this institution, this school, you would have to pay for it. A smaller lab space is going to cost a gold piece a day.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not going to work. But how much would a room at an inn cost?
A room at an inn would cost Wait, how much do those cost again? Buying and selling. I believe it was... How do I not have this written down? Wasn't it a silver piece for a room? Or am I getting that wrong? I believe that was correct.
I think it was more than that.
The main thing is meals were more expensive.
No, that's what it was.
Oh.
Okay. Yep, it is a
Would there
silver
be any
piece per day. The usual price for a room is a silver piece, but because this is Emberfell,
Okay.
the price is a little more expensive, so it's going to be 3 silver pieces a day.
Okay. Would there be any restriction on crafting if I was at a hotel, like at an inn, smaller space, inappropriate work surfaces, or does that kind of just not apply because I've been working in probably less than ideal conditions on artifacts in the past?
On one hand, the inn is significantly cheaper, but it might be frowned upon for you doing magical experiments or casting spells within this tiny area that is the wooden room of inside of the inn. I forgot to mention, the Emberfell labs will increase will double your creation speed.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep. Did I not tell you guys last week? That is one of the...
That alone makes the extra cost worth it.
Yep, it is a gold piece for every day that you work, but it will significantly increase. As in, it won't necessarily, like, if you have 2 people, it won't be the work of 4 people. It adds 1 person effectively to the, because of the extra equipment that you'll have access to, it'll add 1 person to the item creation process in terms of time.
So it'll be like, so if I hire an assistant, it would be like 3 people working instead of just 2?
Yes.
So that still speeds up the process.
Yep.
But I can't, I'm assuming for most of the items I'm trying to craft, none of them are complex enough. But I mean, maybe the blaster would be to hire assistants. Alright, so I'm gonna go try and rent a lab for item crafting. Would there be any specific lab I should craft? The lab I should request for item crafting?
There would be, for this situation, you would be getting specifically like an item crafting laboratory. So there are different types of laboratories, but that would be the one that you would get. Those are, it's on the lower level of the structure, and it's next to a whole bunch of other rooms and spaces that are designed for more general purpose activities.
Okay. Alright then. I'm going to go and try and rent
An item crafting lab. I pay day by day, or can I rent it for a specific block of time?
You could rent it for a block of time. You could have it for a week. You would have to pay in advance.
Okay. But if I pay in advance, then it means I can use the same lab for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
If
I'm
I
gonna
finish...
go along and try to persuade.
No. So... I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I'm gonna... But could I... If I, like, finish earlier than I expect to, or have to leave town unexpectedly, could I get my money back?
If you pay
Some of my money back?
If you pay in advance, no.
No. Okay. So that is a bit of a risk, depending on how the encounter goes, but Adrien doesn't know that. Alright, yeah. He's gonna basically go...
And what would be the odds that if he rents it out for a month, like, there would be a reservation after him? Or is that not really how the system works?
What do you mean?
If he pays for a month, and then, say, 3 weeks in, pays for another month, is it possible that they could have another reservation booked on it and you'd have to move labs, or...
No, not necessarily. But they would certainly frown upon... You could ask this to the clerk.
Yeah, he's asking this to the clerk.
You find there is an older dragonborn woman who just seems really annoyed as you are asking her these questions. You over there, no, that stuff is not allowed in this place. You must take that to the more reinforced halls. She's like telling somebody behind you, in like a student holding like some large barrel that has some sort of substance contained on the inside. Now, what are you saying?
Yes. If I reserve a lab and realize I need the lab for longer than I initially reserved it for, would I be able to reserve the same lab, or would I get moved to a different lab?
You can, in fact, extend your reservation, yes.
Okay. Is there a fee for that?
The fee is the amount of days that you would be extending the reservation from. Normally, students just pay the coin. Normally, outsiders just pay the coin and go to their room. If you wish to use your room longer, you can pay to use it longer. Does that answer your questions?
Yes.
Also,
I'm gonna pay.
once you pay, there are no refunds. At all. If you are unhappy with your room, no refunds. If you decide to leave Emberfell early, no refunds. If you are killed in a dragon-related incident, no refunds.
Then I'd be dead. I wouldn't be needing a refund. But, yes, the goal is to not die.
It's not done.
And are there any rules against bringing in assistants or... Andrew?
Wait, I thought you were still finishing that sentence.
No. Yeah, I left that off. Are there any rules against bringing in assistants?
No, there are not. With the stipulation that the assistant is following all the rules of Emberfell Academy. The rules that we have in place, yes?
Not... would I know?
There are a number of rules. She pulls out a stone tablet and passes it across the counter. There's a number of rules. There's a couple of really simple ones. There's a ban on 7th, 8th, and 9th tier spells without approval from the Archmage. There is
Fair enough.
there is a ban on creatures, specifically shape-shifting creatures who are currently shape-shifted while entering the Emberfell without announcing the fact. There is, for some reason, underlined 3 times, no silver dragons.
Wait, no silver dragons?
Yes, that's underlined 3 times and in all capitals.
Is there anything else on the list?
There's a couple of other ones, but mostly they're just logical. Demons, the Fae, and undead all have to be approved by the guards before let into Emberfell, that sort of thing.
My owl familiar with... I depict, like, Fae, Fiend, or...
Oh, yeah. Familiars are allowed. That's in the rules.
Okay. Alright, so... Seemed fair enough. Nothing I plan to do would violate them.
Any questions about the rules?
No, thank you. I think this clears it up. Alright then, I'd like to reserve an item crafting lab for a month.
Fantastic. She is going to take 30 gold pieces from you for 30 days. And she hands you a room key that has a tag next to it with a room number. No refunds. You're in charge of removing whatever the last person who occupied the room left in there. Good day.
Alright, I took the gold off my character sheet, and then from there, I'm pretty much going to go on like a shopping trip for materials for the Druid's Bowl of Sustenance, or whatever I'm going to call it. Because I have some of the components for that, but not everything.
Alright, what do you need? Oh, yeah, because you're buying stuff for your magical item crafting. Yes, they're in the lower floors, the very lowest floor of the tower, where there's a market, you would be able to buy everything that you needed.
Alright, and then... Alright, so that's 180 gold in materials for that. And then I'm going to mark that off in my character sheet. And then from there, I'm going to search the city, like looking for somewhere I could cast spells for money. Although, how would Adrien's spell slots technically... He can only cast 1st, 2nd, and 4th level spells?
No, what happens is when you cast a 1st level spell, it'll be automatically upcast to a 2nd level spell.
Yes. But 1st level...
Right.
But
yeah, I see now.
Yeah, because 1st level is cantrip, 1st level upcast, and regular spell slots are upcast to 3rd.
You can use a higher level spell slot to cast a lower level spell.
Yeah, but Okay, yeah, that's fair. But my point is, unless you can deliberately downcast, even with spells that can be upcast, he can't cast, say, Cure Wounds at 3rd level, unless you can deliberately ignore the effect of the region for that.
Nope, you would cast it using your Warlock slot, and what is your Warlock level currently at? Your
3rd, because
so you
just
would,
leveled
you
up.
would cast it using your Warlock slot, and that was at 3rd level, but because you're in the Crescent Lake region, it'll automatically get upcast to 4th level, so you'd be casting that Cure Wounds at 4th level.
Alright, so I'm gonna go looking for anywhere I could cast any of my spells for money. Do I have to put like a listing out for that? Or
Yeah,
what?
you put out a listing. It doesn't take long before you find some volunteers.
Volunteers?
Volunteers, no, they are willing to work for you. For
Okay. No, for an assistant, I was going to go hire someone from the academy, I think,
Okay.
right?
Sorry,
And then-
I'm misunderstanding what you are saying.
Adrien is attempting to sell his services as a spellcaster because that is likely going to be more efficient than spell scroll or item crafting.
Ah, okay, I see. That will be actually difficult here. But go ahead and make a
Even if he's
make a charisma check.
Just a generic charisma check,
Yeah.
or persuasion?
Persuasion.
I love how the bonus to religion checks is higher despite my intelligence being lower than charisma.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a 20.
At 20, it doesn't take long before there is somebody who needs a 3rd level spell cast. In this case, you do find somebody that has one. They are in a small adventuring group and they want aid cast on themselves before they head out for the day.
All right. I think I'm just not going to charge them extra for it being cast at effectively 4th level.
Okay.
Or I'm going to let them know that this is technically cast at 4th level.
Yep.
So I cast.
Oh wait, hang on. They're offering you 150 gold pieces for the cast.
Okay, so you put that chart in game stats?
That is less than what market price would normally be, but it might be a good deal specifically here.
Yeah. 150 gold is reasonable, probably. Alright, yeah, so I will take that, and then I'm casting it. Oh, yeah. Wait, why is it only...
It's actually 4th level and all that, but the region thing isn't applied. So I've cast that, and
I can add 150 gold to my inventory?
Yeah. Otherwise, besides that, you're asking around, there doesn't seem to be a lot of other people who need anything else cast for a good hour, I would say. Are you going to check out your new lab that you just rented?
Oh, yeah. I assume I would have at least quickly checked that out, and I would have left probably the item materials for the bowl at the lab.
As you approach the lab, it's a large stone door with a barred. It almost looks like a prison door, actually. Now that you're looking at it, but as the door creaks open after you unlock it, you look into a large circular room that's maybe 20 feet by 20 feet, and then you hear some strange fluttering.
What do I see?
There are actually. Do you have dark vision?
I do not, however, my owl does.
Your owl, as you look through your owl, the thing you notice first is just there are hundreds of bats, and they cover the ceiling. And the second your owl looks at them and you look up, there's just this squeaking and squawking. It looks like anything could set them off into a panic.
Adrien is going to slowly close the door as a rather vicious-looking smile begins to spread across his face. Kazi's going to enjoy this. And he goes to go look for Kazi.
Kazi, you are finished with dealing with Professor Tanner, and your awakened plant is now growing. You are quickly found by an Adrien.
Kazi,
Hello, Adrien.
I have a proposition for you.
Oh.
You want to blow something up?
Kazi's eyes light up. What do I get to blow up?
So long story short, I rented a lab to do some item crafting, and it's full of bats. Figure that's nothing a couple fireballs can't fix.
Cool, Kazi says. I got one thing I want to ask. Can I use the room too?
Okay, there's not any restrictions against that. Would that impede me in any way if he's also working in the lab on a separate project?
You could only work on one project in this room at a time. That's how I will limit it.
Okay, then I'd probably have to say no then, because he's going to be crafting near constantly, unless...
Yeah.
Unless it's possible Kazi can just work at a different time of day, but... Or would that still not work?
Possible. If you had enough time, you could do shifts. 8 hours in, 8 hours out. One person long rests. That would also get very complicated.
Would it get complicated?
It would get complicated because then we'd have to math out how you guys are doing each day.
I think that'd be fun. Let's do that. More efficient.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to pay for part of the room.
What should it cost?
I paid for a month, so that was 30 gold.
Okay. Wait, why don't I just buy my own room?
Good question.
That you can.
So you said these rooms cut the crafting time in half?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They add a person to the crafting because of the equipment that you have access to while within the laboratory section of Emberfell.
Okay. Kazi looks around the room. Is there any equipment that would be damaged if Kazi fireballs the bats?
Oh,
You
true.
see some glass flasks on the table, and there's a couple of tables that are scattered across the room.
How big is the room?
It's 20 feet by 20 feet.
Okay. Can we move, like, the sensitive equipment to somewhere it wouldn't get hit by the fireball?
Yeah, you can make a stealth check.
Kazi says. Kazi begins.
A what? A stealth check?
Yeah, because there are bats on the there are bat swarms on the ceiling.
Oh, no. True.
Kazi begins spamming ice spike or ice shard. The level 1 spell.
Okay.
Oh, wait, so are we just killing them without fireball because of the
Are you
sensitivity
fighting
of the equipment?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. Well, give me a second. You're casting ice shard.
Ice knife. There we go.
Ice knife.
Knife.
Is Ruben here too, or is it just the two of you?
Yeah, Ruben's here.
No, Kazi's sticking his hand into the door and blasting it.
Okay. Shoot, I don't have a battle map necessarily for this. Let me...
I don't think we need one.
I think, actually, you might.
This will
You
make
said
it
they're
more
back.
interesting.
Oh well.
Let me see here. Let me just bring you guys all into this
Look
room.
in the scene, which gives you visibility of the area.
Hang on. Lighting. I'm just gonna add global illumination to this. Ozzy and Ruben. And... wow, that's a little intense for fighting. So you stick into the door, but there are... let me grab this. This is what happens when I'm not prepared. Let me show you what's going on here. Oh, I thought I was drawing. Here we go. Hallway. Ah, yes, look at this masterpiece. This is a door. And then the room is 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's 4 blocks. But all along the ceiling, maybe I overestimated this. I thought this took up a small. There are 12 bat swarms. This isn't particularly gonna fit on top of itself. I'll make the room a little larger. Nope. Okay. Ah! This is what happens when I'm not prepared. I should have had a laboratory. I was thinking about getting a laboratory battle map just in case something happened. But I totally did not get it done. I will make the room larger. You guys all see?
Yeah.
Alright. It is a... Yeah. Swarm of bats. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. So if you're casting Ice Knife, go ahead and cast the spell. I'm assuming you're hitting one of the targets on the ceiling?
Yeah, then I'm gonna shut the door.
Alright, which one are you hitting then? Alright, go
Doesn't
ahead
matter.
and roll
One of them.
damage. That will definitely hit.
My goodness. 3 piercing damage. Doubled.
3 piercing damage.
Oh, that is... No, 3 piercing damage total.
Youch.
Man, where's the explosion damage?
Roll 2d6, and they have to make a...
Is it 2d6? No, it's 46, because 2d6 gold times 2.
Oh, it's 3d6 cold damage. For the cold damage, it increased by 1d6 for each spell slot level above 1.
No, I'm casting it as if it were a cantrip. So I'm not using a spell slot.
Oh,
so
okay.
So it's still level 1.
So it's just so it's just 2d6.
Yeah, but it's doubled because of the critical hit.
Right. Okay. Yeah. -3.
15.
Every creature within 5 feet. So I will count these 3 creatures right here. They're going to make dexterity checks. That is they're trying to beat a what?
15, I think.
That will fail. That will succeed, and that will succeed. So this one fails, and it takes... So the one that fails takes 2d6 damage, which you rolled a 4d6, which is 16. The explosion from the ice is enough to instantly eliminate this swarm of bats. This swarm of bats here. They're taken out by the swing of cold. You immediately close the door, and I'm going to need you guys to roll for initiative.
The owl is also here, so...
I will grab them.
Somehow, Kazi, I still managed to roll worse than you.
Kazi rolled a 1!
Youch. Adrien, is your turn.
How did you get...
Actually, I rolled better than you, but you have a better plan.
Yeah.
Adrien, you rolled. It is your turn. The bats before you in the turn order are. You can hear them swarming and screeching on the other side of the door.
I can't see through the door. Is there anything I have that I can cast?
Hey, Andrew, how tall is the room in there?
About 20 feet tall. It's like a. Yeah, 20 foot ceilings.
Okay.
How many of the bats are right on the other side of the door?
You are not sure. I haven't moved them because normally they would be hidden from you guys by walls. Actually, I can add. So just go ahead, whatever you want to do here. All right, you get in front. You get near the door.
I guess that is probably Word of Radiance. I am going to cast
I'll add a door right here. There we go.
Armor of Agathis on myself. Its temporary hit points and cold damage both increase by 5 for each spell slot level above 1. So Armor of Agathis is essentially 20. And I'm going to step into the room.
Okay.
Can you
Are
move me?
you opening the door?
Yeah, and I'm going to move in.
Okay, you open the door and step in, and as soon as that happens, some of the swarms of bats have held their turn to swarm out as soon as you open the door. So they are going to rush by, swarming out into the halls. Here.
Yeah, no, I'm going to close the door immediately, like, squeeze through the crack made by the door.
Okay, yeah, but they're
Also,
they are bats.
I get attack of opportunity though, right?
Yes, you can get an attack of opportunity on one of them. They held their action because they had a higher initiative than you to swarm out of the door as soon as you opened it.
Okay, I'm gonna cast, as they're all flooding past me, I'm going to cast. Is this my action, or is? I don't know if I can do this.
This is your.
No, I can do this as.
This is your reaction. Do you have the mage caster or war?
I have warcaster.
Yeah, as warcaster you can, and that even if a creature moves out of your melee attack range on your turn, that is still a reaction to attack of opportunity.
Okay. All right, I'm going to cast Word of Radiance.
All right, go ahead.
And that should hit all the bats that fly past. Because it's 5-foot emanation. Each creature, burning radiance erupts from you in a 5-foot emanation. Each creature of your choice that you can.
In chat.
No, that's.
Creature in range that has 0 hit point. Oh wait, no, that's fair to dying.
No, hold on a second. It's not being very cooperative. I accidentally closed Foundry, so give me a second.
You should just be able to click on it.
Did that for
Word of Radiance.
What spell was it called, Laura?
So it is an instantaneous emanation. So that will only hit one of the creatures that's running past. The rest of the
only
swarms,
one of the bat swarms?
Yeah, all the bat swarms they're going in order. So they go one at a time. So the first group that tries to get away from you, get past you, you're going to cast Word of Radiance on. But they're going to make a Constitution saving throw.
I do have a question though for how targeting works. So, if I were to cast something like Eldritch Blast or Chill Touch, would that attack them all, or I don't know how the swarm mechanic works.
So swarms will count as a single creature.
Okay, then if that's the case, and I can only hit one, I'm not going to use Word of Radiance. I'm going to use Chill Touch.
Okay.
Because that's more damage.
All right, go ahead and cast the spell or the cantrip.
Do any of them try to attack me?
No, they held their action to move. You can't both hold your movement and your action. That will not hit. So you try and reach for the bats, but they also avoid your body as they fly past you. Oh, okay. So it's still your turn. What are you doing on your turn? You try to chill touch the bats as a reaction as they fly past.
I'm going to push the door closed.
Okay.
And I'm going to step over here.
All right.
And I don't know, does that violate movement rules? And I'm going to cast Word of Radiance.
Okay, go ahead and they have to make a Constitution saving throw, so that is 2. That is a success and a failure, so go ahead and roll damage. At level 5, they will take 2d6 radiant damage.
Okay. 9.
9 points of damage. Yeah, immediately, like half of the bats in this bat swarm are just seared by this holy light. These bats are going to rush to the door, but the door closes and slams into their face. This swarm of bats is swirling around the room and is going to go to you here. And it is going to attempt to bite at you.
You've activated my trap card. 7. I take the attack.
Okay. Yeah, some of the bats come.
Take 20 cold damage.
Yeah, you take 3 piercing damage, and they take 20. So all of the bats are just. Oh no, that's not it. Are evaporated. They turn to solid sheets of ice, and then just fall to the ground, hitting the ground and just smashing into shards of ice. The same with this one. This one's also going to do the same. That's just all biting you and dying.
Yeah, that one would actually hit me.
That'll be 3 piercing damage as well.
Alright, they also take 28 cold damage.
And they're gone. That'll be a 21 to hit, so that'll hit, and then 3 cold damage, and then they're gone. 3 piercing
Is
damage.
3 like the only thing they can roll?
They're rolling d4s, so it's pretty likely that.
Yeah, it's like.
And this swarm is gonna try and go and hold its action. And Kazi, it is now your turn.
Please deal with the bats
Kazi
outside the room.
is going to use bonus action to misstep to there, so he's out of reach.
Okay.
Then he's going to run 30 feet down the hallway.
All right.
Then he's going to cast Fireball.
Okay.
We might get in trouble for casting fireball in the walls, but in the halls, but
Okay. At least you didn't bring any silver dragons.
yeah.
That barely misses Ruben right there.
Yeah. So that will.
Yay!
No matter what they roll,
I can't
go ahead and roll
actually-
damage. I'm pretty sure they're dead regardless. Yeah, just roll damage. 8d fire damage. 86.
Actually, no. Are you casting it at?
31.
Yeah, they're dead no matter what happens. So immediately seared out of the air are these 4 bat swarms, and this one is also this square right here. Oh, actually, is the door still closed? So this bat.
The door's closed.
This bat swarm is not hit by it. It would have been if the door had been open. But yeah, so a rush of inferno in flame as you're running away before you cast the spell. A couple of the mages are students are walking towards your guys' lab, and then they see the bats and they just turn around. But you immediately turn around towards the bats and just burn them all, and a bunch of charred bat corpses fall from the sky and thud against the stone floor. Anything else you'd like to do, Kazi? Oh, I believe that is your turn.
That's it.
Ruben, you are up. All the bats around you are dead.
Only
Yeah,
2
you just
swords of
gotta
bats
run
that
through
are
the door.
alive are in the room.
You can open the door with a free action.
Can I attack the bats that are on top of me after I shut the door?
Yeah, make an attack.
All right. First, I'm going to cast Divine Favor. So
All right.
it doesn't cost me a spell slot.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet living in this region.
Yeah. Then I'm going to attack it with my sword with advantage because I have cast a vow of enmity against it.
All right, you really hate these bats.
I'll be at 23.
That'll hit. Go ahead and make a damage roll.
18 damage.
18. It is resistant to slashing damage, but that 1d4. Hang on. So it takes 15 slashing damage. That is halved, and then it takes 3 piercing. It takes 3 radiant damage. So it is barely alive. There's only one of the bats of the swarm are actually still flapping around.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish it off with my second attack.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and make another attack.
We at 22.
And that will kill it. It only has 1 hit point
16
left.
damage.
Yep, that will. Please stop it. He's already dead. Who's even left at this point? Wait, what? What bat swarm is this? Oh, okay, that one. Bam. There's only 1 bat swarm left now, as you end your turn. Which will make it Adrien's turn.
Alright. Adrien is going to the Hex and then Eldritch Blast those bats because why not?
Alright. Go ahead and make 2 attacks, and it is hexed.
Let me see. Alright, and then attack roll
That will hit.
24 and crit fail.
Youch. Go ahead and roll damage for the first one. So the first Eldritch Blast shoots right into the middle of them. The second one veers off to the right. 10?
Force 2 necrotic.
Yeah, that hits, and that will, in fact, finish them off. They're not resistant to force necrotic. So the rest of those bats, the final bats drop from the necrotic damage as they rot away. And with that, the very quick and dirty battle of killing about 100 or so bats that have infested this lab. You guys now have a lab all to yourselves. Also, actually, there's 3 of you guys. You guys all get, the 3 of you get 200 XP
Nice.
for killing those bats.
That's the first party deviation in XP potentially.
Yep. Since Joel was not here. But you
Maybe
now
he
have,
has some.
the lab, and I suppose next session, after you guys have a interesting chat, we're gonna have to go through what you guys are crafting and what you guys are going to, or how much time you're spending in this laboratory.
But that we don't talk about that till next session.
Actually, we can talk about it now if you want. If there's anything in particular that you're crafting that's outside of the normal rules.
Okay.
My one question was, what level is a wand of fireball?
It was rare, I thought.
A wand of fireballs?
Yeah, not fireballs, fireballs.
Let me check right here.
The staff rarity of a third level spell is still rare.
A wand of fireballs is a rare item. So that'll
Okay.
cost you 2,000 gold in materials to craft, and 50 days of crafting.
I do have a question though, Andrew.
Yes.
Would it be possible or allowed to have the wand of fireballs that can do radiant damage fireballs?
I would say no, mostly because that would be difficult to properly balance versus just imitating a magic item that casts a spell. Doing a specialized spell, I'm hesitant to immediately approve of without thinking about it for a bit.
Okay. Because that's just one of the things I was considering. If we could do something like that would be really helpful for potentially the final fight against all of the shades.
Yeah, true. If you run into more of those shades, you could just evaporate a couple dozen of them with a radiant fireball. But also, they have such little health that a normal fireball would also evaporate them, I believe.
Okay. So there is that. Alright, so as for items that I'm crafting, it's a bit more complicated than just crafting because I don't technically have all the gold yet to craft these, but the Druid Bowl, which is basically just Wand of Goodberry. I am hiring an assistant before I craft these. I'm continuing Ruben's Arcana training. And so I'm only going to hire an assistant for the 23 days that I have until his training is done.
Alright. I said I would look at the
think you said it was
services rules. Oh, hirelings.
2
Here we
gold.
go.
Yeah, it was
A
like 2
skilled
gold per day,
hireling will
right?
cost you 2 gold per day. So,
Yeah.
Working with a mage that's able to cast those spells, 2 gold a day.
Alright, and so that's just 3 days for the Druid Bowl, and then 3 days, so I would owe... Do I mark this off my character sheet now for paying assistance, or do I wait till next session?
Wait, what? Oh, don't mark it off now. Wait till next session.
Okay. And then I was going to do the Boots of Expeditious Retreat, and then I need to get enough money, whether that's through selling spell scrolls, hiring spell services, or crafting magic items in order to craft Adrien Norrith's Eldritch Blaster.
Okay.
Now, I guess the one change that I might want to make to that item from what you've approved is essentially merging it with the uncommon version so I don't have to create 2 of them. So I could still use the same one to cast it on a bonus action and, like, for the second action from haste.
Okay. Can you
And
just
that's
send
the
me
only-
the description of that item then, with the final one, if you're combining those two?
And then given what you said about, okay, I gotta dig that up in my message history with you. But given what I said earlier, I assume you would disallow changing that to radiant.
You're turning your
Eldritch
Eldritch
Blast to radiant damage.
If you're making a rare item that allows you to cast Eldritch Blast, I believe, is that something you're still working on?
Yeah, that's the item I'm talking about.
Then yeah, I will allow it with a rare item.
Okay. And is that something that would always be on, or would I be able to switch between it?
I would say the item would require attunement, and as long as you were attuned, it would
Yeah.
change the type. So you need a short rest to switch it back. You would need to unattune from the item.
It doesn't look like you were saying it required attunement.
Okay, I'm adding this specifically
Right.
with the
Yeah,
radiant
I know.
damage. I might be. It has been a while since I talked about this, so I might be changing
Yeah.
my mind. But I believe that is the restriction that the base game has for a number of items to make it so that you can't just stack rings of protection, for example. And so
Yeah.
I think I'm going to require, if you want to do if you want to change the damage type of your spell, I think I'm going to require attunement for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I made the comment about attunement because I didn't quite remember if you were requiring attunement to begin with, and it didn't look like you were, so that was adding it. But given the fact that it also takes into account ability modifiers, spell focus doesn't require attunement, so
I don't think you have a lot of items right now that require attunement, do you?
I do. The only one I do have are the gauntlets of ogre strength,
Yes.
and I'm not actually attuned to those. No, the sword.
Oh yeah, you have parents.
I'm attuned to the sword.
All right, I believe next session we'll have to get back on track. This was a side story of you guys getting your lab before you are interrupted by the mysterious stranger who wants to talk to you.
All right.
But yep, that is where we are going to end today's session here.
I have
Sounds
a...
good to me.
Okay.
Oh, you wanted to do one last thing, Josiah?
I was just curious if I could sell some of the crossbows I picked.
Yes,
Chinese
you can
guy.
sell those at half their base cost. So for example, your light crossbow you could sell for 12 gold pieces and 5 silver pieces. Your heavy crossbows you could sell for 25 gold pieces.
Okay, I have 2 of each of them, so that'd be 25 and 50.
Yep, it's not quite a town, but there are people willing to buy weapons here, so you don't have an issue selling them off.
Alright, I'm just gonna sell those then.
Alright, anything else you need to do?
Any crossbows?
Yes.
I kinda need a... Did we wanna try to sell the porcelain tea set with rubies?
Kazi has some things he wants to sell.
What do you want to sell?
The badger claws. He has 9 of them.
The badger claws. Yeah, they are willing to buy them for 3 silver pieces each.
3 times 9 is 27. All right, I'll sell them for 27 silver.
All right. Yep, you can move that from your inventory. And anything else?
Nope.
All right. I will see you guys next week then. I will double check with Joel that he will be
Actually-
available next week.
One other thing. How much XP did we make? I did not write that down.
200.
200? Okay. Thank you.
And also, I'm gonna really quick the short sword as well.
Okay. That'll just be half
So that'd be 5.
the cost.
Oh, I have a sword as well. How much? You said half the cost?
Yep, half the cost, so that will be
Yeah.
5.
Andrew.
Yeah.
So I put at least the a preliminary edit of the previous description in my DMs with you. The question I would have is, at that point, would attunement to the blaster require having the Eldritch Blast cantrip?
I would say no. You could attune to it without having the cantrip. But there is the limitation that you can only cast it once per day if you don't have the cantrip.
Alright. And this way, I can thematically just be using the item, and I don't have to, switch between item and hand casting.
Yep.
Alright.
Looks good. Anything else that you need? Or else I'm going to head out.
Alright, that's all.
Yeah, because the only other thing would be... Andrew?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, the only other thing would be the specifics on timing. If I make enough money and time for actually completing the blaster item, which would probably involve multiple rolls. Also a fair amount of math, because I have to do the amount of math to see how long this is all actually going to take, given any previous math I had is offset by the fact that the labs speed things up.
Yeah, just mark down the amount of days that you get finished. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking.
This would be for after the encounter, but essentially after the encounter, I'm gonna have to do all that math and rolls for selling spell services again, because Adrien is going to do that again repeatedly over the next month, because he only has 1,100 gold right now, and he needs 2,000 for the blaster alone, not to mention another 600 for a diamond for Revivify and a spell scroll of haste.
I'm gonna say it will be... I don't necessarily want you as a player just trying to get gold by selling spell services, because I feel like there are more interesting ways to try and gain wealth in Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't want to necessarily encourage a player to just grind away at a daily job when you guys are adventurers.
We're staying here for a month, right?
I guess it does depend on what you guys decide to do. We can cover that when we get to it, but I think I'm going to have you roll only a couple of times to see if you can find see if you can make a deal with some reoccurring adventurers or something for casting spells. Then they would pay you a set amount per day.
Likely at a discount at that point, but...
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, that seems fair enough. Otherwise, I'll just have to fall back on selling to Quicklies. Or selling spell scrolls.
Alright, sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good. Because that all factors into how long I need the lab.
Alright, I will see you next week.
Alright, yeah. Alright, thank you for answering that. See you next week.
Yep.